everybody. Welcome to Stacy's Mealtime Magic. I'm so happy you could join me in my kitchen. And tonight I'm going to be making a yummy treat for you. First, I just want to give out the, misconception I'm sure you all have. I'm not a perfect cook. I know, you've seen my post, you think I am, but I'm totally not. So I am going to make some yummies for you, but you know what? I may make a few mistakes along the way, just like everybody. So anyways, I get asked all the time, the ham pie maker, what do you make with it? There's the kind of like standard ideas that people have, well, you could buy a pie filling at the store and you can put it in there, or pepperonis and cheese and make some dipping sauce, spaghetti sauce, and dip it, or pizza sauce rather. And, those are some of the more common ones that you see. But tonight I decided I'm going to go outside the box and I'm going to show you something a little different that you probably haven't even thought about, that are rather delicious, I should say. And so I wanted to show you guys how to use our handy pie maker. And it comes in two pieces. So you can make it like this and then like put it together, squish it. I'll show you how it works, but to make one big pie. Or you could just use half, fold it in half, and it makes the half pies. I find these to be perfect for the dipping, when you're going to be dipping it in spaghetti sauce or pizza sauce or a cheese sauce, the sauce we're going to make tonight. So my dessert will be a half pie, but my savory dish will be a whole pie. So that's what we're going to do. This scoop does not lie. Let me tell you, this scoop is meant for when you're doing the half pie, 1 scoop of your filling. That's it. If you do more than that, I'm telling you, it will leak. So try to stick to just 1 scoop. I know it seems small, but it really isn't. It's rather deep, and when you see the size comparison, it's actually a decent amount of filling. So anyways, that's my one tip for you. Use this. So we will get to that. So let's talk about ideas. So when we talk about what you want to put it in, first I'm going to show you our dessert one. This is just a regular old puff pastry I got from the freezer. I cut it in 4, and so this is just the one. So what I'm going to do is I will put it on our little half one, and then I'm just going to press it down. And now it's important you press it down. Not a huge amount, but a little bit, because it does puff up, and if it puffs up too much, your stuff's gonna ooze out. So granted, it still tastes yummy, but it's just helpful if it doesn't puff up too bad. So I try to push it down a little bit. Make sure you push it down into the well, really well, so that you have room to put your filling when you dump it in. Okay, and then so I didn't even tell you what we're making. Okay, so for our dessert, we're using a puff pastry. We're gonna put some Nutella in the center of it, and then we're gonna bake it. Now, an addition you could do to this that I didn't even think about until I got home is you could chop up some bananas in here so that it's Nutella and bananas. That'll make it super yummy. And then we're going to bake it. While this is baking, we're going to make a marshmallow dip for it. Yep, a marshmallow dip. And so then when you get done, you can dip your dessert into the marshmallow dip, so you kind of have like a s'moresy thing going on. I'm going to implement some graham crackers in there. I'm telling you, it's going to be delicious. So that's what we're doing for our dessert. So let's get started with that. Where did I do with my, oh, there we go. I was like, I just had it. Okay, our scoop. So I sit there and I typically just kind of like, you don't have to like scrape it off if it's heaping a little bit. That is okay. It's not gonna hurt it any or anything like that. Now, if you are gonna chop up some bananas in here, I would put in just a little bit less of the filling. It doesn't have to be like together, fill the spoon. If it's solids, it's not as bad. But when you're using stuff like jams and you know, the pie filling that's pre-made and things like that that do have moisture in them, don't put more than your spoon because it will make a mess. I promise you. Because when I got this thing, I was playing with it all the time, and that's when I learned, don't overfill it. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do here. And then just to add a little yummy factor to it, I am going to add in some graham cracker crumbs to this. So I am going to open this. And I'm not going to put a lot because obviously, you know, it's going to cook. You know, I just want it to have a little graham cracker taste. So I'm just going to break up a couple. Actually, I'm thinking that's probably more than enough. Here, actually, I'll do all of it because we're going to add some to the dip. So I'll just go ahead and do them all now. So with this is our food chopper. Just so you know, you can take the lid off and chop directly onto the cutting board. That's how I prefer to do it. Or like with onions, you probably want to keep it in here so it keeps the fumes out of your face so that you don't cry. But I prefer just doing it directly on the chopper. There we go. So that's all there is to it. That's why I love this guy. Super quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit in there because like I just want the flavor. I just want it to be like, graham crackers. Okay, and then we're going to fold it nice and easy and squeeze. Now this will help it. I like to, some people just kind of like rip it. I actually get scissors and just kind of like cut around it to get the extra dough off. You could pull it, but I just find that it kind of stretches the dough in some places so then it's no longer even around the rim. And obviously I want it to be even. And then I just lightly lift it so that I could pull my dough down. So, here. One thing I forgot to do is oil my thing. You don't have to oil it. I just find it comes up better and easier if I do. So I will definitely do that for the next one. So I'm gonna, here, let me just press this down a little bit better. Normally it crimps it, so you shouldn't have to do this. Remember I said I'm not perfect? So I get ahead of myself. But yeah, if you do mess up like that though, you don't have to start over. You don't have to throw this away. You know, nothing like that. I just crimp it so that it holds it, you know, old school way. Just go through and crimp it. And then I'm actually going to be using our bar pan. This is our small bar pan. It fits into here. It's awesome because this gets hot. It helps brown. It's awesome. So I'm going to set that to the side. Oops, actually, before I do that, let me put my butter on. I'm just going to like lightly brush it like that. Okay, so we're going to set this to the side and then let's work on our savory. Let me actually get rid of these crackers. Okay, I'm gonna put like about that much, see, not a huge amount, into the bottom of my bowl, and then that way I can use that. I'm gonna make the dip and then we'll put it on there, but I won't start the dip until after I start it in the oven, because in that way we're not just sitting around waiting. And I really did not think this one through very well. Back to the perfect part. Give me just a second. Throw that away. Okay. I definitely don't want to have a bunch of graham cracker crumbs in my savory. So I just want to wipe that off really quick. Okay. Perfect. I just like to clean up my area as I go because it drives me crazy trying to cook in a mess. Okay. So now, let's see, what are we going to do for our savory? We're going to do something super yummy. I'm going to take these are just Pillsbury's cornbread rolls. They cook up like cinnamon rolls, but they are cornbread. And so I just bought a package of those, and then I unroll it. Obviously, this isn't going to fit in our thing, but not to worry. I cut this into 3, like this, and then I need about 1 more. Let's see, to finish off this size. Okay, and then I'm gonna need to make 2 of those because I'm going to make a large one. Oops, I got the perfect amount. Okay, so I'm going to show you how easy this is to do. You have to be a little delicate because of the fact that it's they're strips. You don't want them to break and everything. So these don't work very well to make half ones. I just want to say, if you try to make the half ones with these, when you fold it, it will pull them apart. And so these ones, if you're using these cornbread ones, you kind of have to do the big ones. So I'm just going to push them together and then kind of push them out. So that way it flattens the dough a little bit, because you don't want it too thick, because obviously the cornbread is going to get thick. So I just thin it out, you know, not huge, super, super thin, but press it. And then let me do the other one. You can do regular biscuits if you wanted to. You could use pie crust. You can use pizza dough. You can use regular bread. My grandson made peanut butter and jelly sandwich with it. So you could use pretty much anything to make these pies. But I am using cornbread because I am actually going to make corn dog themed kind of sandwiches. And so let me flip them. And so I flip them and then I just push some more. And the only reason I did that is because it's pretty much as flat as I want, but I just trying to blend those lines a little better just to make sure, see, you know how it strips. You're gonna still see the strips. It doesn't make them go away, but it does seal it together better. Now, before I do this, I don't want to run into the same problem I did last time. I'm going to use our spritzer, and then I'm just going to pump it a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to spray a little bit in there on the pieces. When you're done with this, I get a lot of times people are always telling me, oh, it leaks. I hate it. Okay, the trick is burp it. So, see? So it takes the trapped air out, because what happens is the air gets trapped. It keeps the force, and then it lets it leak. So when you're not using it, I actually leave it slightly turned, not a lot, just slightly, and then I put the lid back on, and then I store it. And that's how you keep it from leaking. So if you guys have them and they leak, that's the trick. So then I'm gonna get a paper towel. I'm just gonna wipe this down in real quick so that it's not, because I don't want this super greasy, and I don't want a bunch of grease on my food, but I do want it to not stick when I'm trying to pull it out. You could use butter too if you preferred. That would work as well. I just find this spritzer easier. Okay, so now I'm gonna put in my thing. Okay, so there's these knobs on the side. So make sure that you push it in so that that's clear, because that top needs to fit down over it. And if you have those covered, it makes it hard to actually be able to get it to close very well. So make sure you actually leave that exposed. So let me get this in here, and then I'll show you one more time. Make sure it's pushed down in the center so you have your hole. But look, see how I left those kind of uncovered? Okay. And then here's my top that we'll do afterwards. Let me get this out of my way over here. Okay, and then what I'm putting in mine is I got little smokies, and then that will fit 2 smokies. So I'm gonna do 2 smokies. And then I'm gonna take string cheese. You could use cheddar cheese, pretty much any cheese you want. I just found string cheese is good, and it cooks up really, really well, and it just gives it a yummy taste. And so let me just cut this up. Now you can't put the whole stick in. That'll be too much. I'll save that one for my pups. And I want to say sorry for them ahead of time, because if anybody walks by or if they see a mailman or anything, they're going to go nuts. They feel like nobody's allowed in front of their house except us. Yes, I'm talking about you. Okay. So now I'm just going to put in my little hot dogs. And actually, I think, okay, let's put in my cheese. Now the cheese, I'm just going to try to spread around so that it cooks even and I get the cheese. Now I'm just feeling for where that well starts so that I can be careful not to fill it past that, because then what will happen is when you're trying to close it, it won't work. So I just want to make sure I get a good amount in there so that it has that nice yummy taste to it. But because you don't want it to be all bread, right? Okay, but then I don't want to also have it overflow. Okay, so now I'm going to take my top, and like I said, this is going to go on the top. Again, make sure you're leaving those ends open so that you can fit the top down over the top of it. I'm going to, again, push everything down. I want to make sure everything's fitting in there well. And because these are strips, you want to just kind of like make sure they fit together. They fit together really well. Okay, so then I'm going to take my top. And again, these are the knobs I was referring to earlier. So just line those up and then push your pie down like that. And then you just kind of like push them together like this just to make sure it all pushes together. You have to be careful because the bottom folds, so that should be on the top. That's a mistake I just made. Another one. Someone should keep count. Okay, now I'm going to cut off the excess dough. Like, again, you can just pull it off. A lot of people do that. And sometimes it's like that. It just automatically cut it off just from pushing it down because it snapped it. So I'll just pull that out. But I like to cut it off, like I said earlier, any excess, just because I don't want to pull on the dough and have it thinner in some areas than others. Okay, so now, moment of truth. Let's take it apart really slow. And see, that made a big difference using that. Okay, you putting a little oil on it, that is. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this top part off. Bottom part. Okay, there we go. And then see, there we go. We have a nice, yummy cornbread, yummy hot dog themed pie. Okay, so I'm gonna put it on here. Oh, it's just a little bit of butter. I don't want to put a lot. I just want it to brown nicely. Okay, and then I'm gonna stick this in our air fryer. I didn't have enough room to get it all in, but our deluxe air fryer is awesome because it fits in there so nicely. And it has 3 shelves. You could put 3 if you're doing thin stuff, like you're trying to dehydrate steak or whatever. You could put in all 3 shelves, but other than that, I typically will only do 2 shelves because you want to be really careful and have your food cook evenly. One of the things that I like to make is grilled cheese sandwiches in here. So what I do is I do them on 2 shelves. If you're making enough for like a big family, you only want 2 sandwiches on 1 tray. If they're the smaller, like Wonder Bread, you could probably get 4. But for my husband and I usually just use 2 per tray. And then I flip them halfway through and then put them in longer. Typically, it's about 4 or 5 minutes on one side and then 3 to 4 on the other side. But I put turkey in it as well. So I know people are always asking me about grilled cheese sandwiches. That's the only reason I wanted to put so much time in there for you. Okay, so now we need to work on the filling while we have our sandwiches cooking. Okay, so I'm just gonna get these out of the way real quick. Make some room. Okay, now. So to make the whipped cream, the dip, the marshmallow dip, super, super easy. You just take a 10-ounce bag of marshmallows, the small ones. Don't use the big ones because they'll be, harder to melt and stuff. So just the small ones. Dump it into, I use our large microwavable bowl because it's perfect size, but any microwave bowl you have will work. Just make sure it has a cover and it can vent. Okay, and then 4 ounces of whipping cream. I want to show you guys this just because these are my favorite measuring cups. The measurements are along the side on the inside. So when you're filling it, you don't have to look like this. You just fill it like this, and as soon as you see it gets there, you're done. I love it. But yeah, those are my absolute favorite bowls. And I forgot to bring a scraper over here. I got like a million of them, but that's okay. So let's see. I think we're up to 3 or 4. I lost count. Like I said, I'm not perfect. Okay. Now I just kind of stir it around a little bit. Now you're gonna put it in the microwave. Let me go over here and do this really quick. You're gonna put it in for 15 seconds and then you're going to stir. So I'm gonna put it in 15 seconds and then I'll take it out and I'll stir it. And then I'll put it in for another 15 seconds and stir. And so you'll do that every 15 seconds until it melts. That way it doesn't like overcook. So here, let me do that really quick. Let me get my spoon. This time I get my proper utensils. Okay. Stir that. Now this typically takes about 3 to 4 times of doing this. Okay. Put this in. Okay, so I'm going to put it in again so that it could go. Like I said, it typically takes about 3 times to get it melted. So once it melts, then we'll set it to the side. But while that's doing that, I'm going to stir it the next time one more time. And then I'm going to cut up our chips. Here. I didn't tell you about those ones yet. Hold on a second. Okay, so again, I'm just going to stir this. It's starting to melt nicely. But you definitely want to make sure you stir it each time. Okay, one more time. And that should be enough. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure you stir it each time because it does start to clump together, the marshmallows. You want to keep folding it into the cream. So that's really important. Okay, and then I just wanted to also tell you guys another trick you could do, totally optional, something my husband likes to do with the corn dogs is he likes to, when I get to this halfway point, it's almost there now, we're gonna take them out and flip them so that they'll cook on the other side. But the trick is on the corn dog one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna smush up some chips in there so it kind of has that chips and hot dog thing going on. So let me take out a few chips. Obviously we don't need a lot. Okay. And then again, I'm just gonna use let me wipe the graham crackers out of there. Okay, here we go. And then we'll just chop it up really quick. And that's done. I really do love our food chopper. It makes prep so quick. Okay, so now let me pull this out for you. Let's see. Okay, this looks really pretty. And like I said, it's only halfway done. So this is what they're looking like so far. Really pretty, right? Okay. So I'm gonna flip this really quick. I don't want to put it on my wood. Okay, so now this is our pastry one. I'm probably gonna take that out not as long as this one because this one will take a little bit longer, so I'll have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, so we'll flip it and then I'm just gonna add some chips on here and we'll smoosh those into the dough. So then that way it just kind of gives it an interesting, like, it's kind of like people that like to smush chips in their hamburgers, I guess. The first time my husband recommended doing that, I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. That just sounds weird. And so then he proceeded to send me a recipe that he found online where they had made like regular corn dogs and they did just that. So okay, I'll try it. It's really good. Okay, so now I'm gonna put that back in there, just like that. And then before I actually start that, what I'm gonna wanna do is add a little bit of butter to the pastry one, just so that it browns up nice and pretty. And that's only because, you know, I just think it looks pretty like that. I put it on the middle rack so that it doesn't get too much heat and brown too fast, because then the stuff inside won't melt, the cheese and stuff I created. So you definitely want to have it in the middle rack. Don't put it on the top, but don't put it on the bottom, or it'll take forever and it won't cook properly. So I'm gonna put it in at 4 minutes, but I'm gonna turn my light on so that I can watch it because I want to take out those early. Okay, so now let me check on my dip real quick. Okay. Okay, oh, that's looking really, really good. I think since we have time, I'm gonna go ahead and let that run one more time. And then that will be done melting. And then let me get this cleaned up really quick. Put those right there. Thank you, Rory. He's cleaning up my crumbs for me. Okay, so then once your dip's done, you're gonna want to add in a tablespoon of cinnamon plus, or regular cinnamon if you like it. I prefer cinnamon plus. It just tastes better. It's our cinnamon, but it's only available twice a year, or once a year for October, November, December. So 3 months, once a year. And I have people that actually wait for it. It's really good. So when it gets around that time, keep a lookout for that because it really is good. Okay, and then I'm also want to use brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Now the brown sugar, I actually use a Swerve. It's a sugar substitute, and it tastes pretty good, and it doesn't add a bunch of sugar since I have issues with sugar. Yes, the marshmallows have a lot, so I can't have very much at all, but I am able to eat a little bit. So I like to cut the sugar where I can so that I can try things and enjoy things here and there. So, okay, so let me get our marshmallows. Okay, here we go. Take the lid off. Okay, so like, see, as earlier I was talking about the venting holes. If you use this to make mashed potatoes, it's really cool because you leave the lid on and then tip it up and it'll strain the water out. So it works like a strainer too, which is really nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna stir this to make sure it's all mixed really well. And then I'm going to add in you could add in anything you wanted. Like if you wanted a different kind of flavor profile, you could totally just get really creative. Okay. Then there's my cinnamon. Now with our cinnamon plus, if you have a recipe that has cinnamon and nutmeg, you would just add the amounts together and just use that below. Okay, and then there's our brown sugar. I don't pack it, I just put in just lightly fluffed in there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna stir this up. Oh, this looks so good. Let me check what we have here. Okay, now I got to talking and I forgot to take my puff pastry out, so it popped open 5 or 6. So that one won't be as pretty, but it will taste really good, I promise. Okay, so let me here we go. Let me put my, here we go. And then I'm going to, actually, I think I'll just take this off and put it onto my plate directly. So here is our corn dog one. See, with the chips and stuff, it looks really good. And then let me put Actually, you know what? Let me grab a separate plate because I don't think I want to mix those sweet and savories because I'm going to actually put the the dip on this side. Now, because this popped open, see what I mean? The puff pastry, how it popped open. Now, it still looks delicious, right? So it's okay that it puffed open because it is puff pastry. So like you have to be really careful with it when I'm cooking with it. You have to watch it because as soon as it starts to puff up, it pretty fast. So you have to watch for it. But I do use puff pastry a lot. It is really good. Okay, so now what you can do is the dip, you can put it in a bowl on the side. And that's what I got my bowl here. I'm just gonna add some of this to my graham cracker crumbs that we made earlier. Let me put this over here because that is a lot of dip. Okay, and then I'm just gonna mix in my graham crackers. There we go, like that. Okay, so this is the dip. See, it just looks delicious. It's just a marshmallow dip. And then when you're eating it, you would just pick it up once it's cooled, dip it, and then eat it. And that's the same thing you do with the pizza. Or if you wanted to make it pretty because you were having family over, and you could just literally just like drizzle this with it and put a scoop of ice cream on the side, whatever you want. So that is how you can make your pies. So either one, Alexa, stop. Sorry. But with our pies, you could be so creative. Like I said, the corn dog one, it turned out really, really yummy looking, right? And it has the hot dog. You could use regular hot dogs. I like the small little smokies and any kind of cheese you want. You could add chips, not add chips, totally up to you. But if you add chips, do it when you flip it. I did 4 minutes on one side, 3 on the other, and this I did for the same time, but I should have pulled it out like 1 minute earlier. And then with our dip, 1 package of marshmallows, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Now, you could also add in bananas in here. You could use regular chocolate instead of Nutella. You could be really creative with this. These are just some ideas of things that you can make. I like to do pepperoni and mozzarella cheese and then use a pizza sauce as a dipping sauce. You know, you could do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You could do any of the pies. I like to do apples where I saute some apples in some cinnamon and then put them in the puff pastry and bake it. It's really, really good. And then I just put a dollop of whipped cream on top, sometimes a scoop of vanilla ice cream, depending on what we have. So, you know, this is our pie maker. You could do so many things with it. I'm telling you, it's just awesome. So I'm going to cut this open really quick. And as always, if you guys ever have questions, I mean, beyond the party, just message me. I am always happy to answer questions. So here we go. I just want to show, oh my God, that looks so good. But yeah, I just want to show you, see how good that looks. It's delicious. I'm gonna try it. So these are just really fun to make to show off that you're making new things. So I just want to do a few things outside the box. So anyways, thank you for joining me in my kitchen. I hope you enjoyed the cooking demo and learned a few things. If you have any questions, message me. I'm always here for you guys. Okay.